Welcome back, Defenders. Today, let's start here. Total mobilization. Russia to spend $1.1 trillion preparing for war. This is according to Budanov. Russia will spend more than $1 trillion on rearmament, mobilizing its politics, economy, and society over the next decade for a future large-scale war, obviously with NATO. So some kind of intelligence report was shared with Western governments, and there's now a lot of governments in Europe who are seriously concerned that Russia is going to attack NATO. The speculation being that in a year or two, when China is ready to invade Taiwan, Russia will invade the Baltics at the exact same time. The United States will be distracted in the Pacific. The Europeans will have to focus on the Baltics, divide and conquer. That is what these autocracies are planning to do. So Russia needs allies, and this is what they've been working on. Russia seeks to dismantle the current security and economic order. To this end, Moscow is increasing its presence in Africa, primarily through its proxy forces, the Wagner PMC and the African Corps, and by supporting authoritarian regimes and terrorist organizations around the world. If you're a dictator, if you're a terrorist organization, Putin wants to talk to you. Putin wants you on Team Russia and China. This is disturbing, but this is happening all across Russia. It's also happening in South America. It's also happening in Southeast Asia. Russia and the Chinese are pouring billions of dollars into propaganda efforts to brainwash the children of the global South. What's happening here is this is World War III, and it's democracies versus autocracies. If you're trying to stay neutral, it's not going to work. And the reason why this is happening now is because dictators around the world in a global information age, the age of the internet, the age of smartphones, they know they can't control their own borders anymore. Information is getting in and out of China. Information is getting in and out of Russia. And even North Korea. Information is now getting in and out because of how cheap and accessible technology is. So dictators are taking the fight to the democracies of the world. If you live in a free and democratic society in Japan, a free and democratic society in Australia or Canada, that is now a threat to Xi's power in China, to Putin's power in Russia, to Kim's power in North Korea. If human beings are allowed to have free and fair elections anywhere in the world, well then the people in China or the people in Russia might start asking questions. So the goal is to end democracy everywhere in the world. Yes, there will still be elections, but they won't be free and fair. They're predetermined. North Korea has elections if you didn't know that. This is the global fight that we're now engulfed in. And Ukraine is ground zero. Ukraine is patient zero. This is the first test, and we have to support Ukraine. Ukraine must win this war, otherwise these wars will never end. Russia pounds Ukraine with massive overnight strike, 1 dead, Kyiv choked by smoke, metro station hits. I don't like reporting this, guys. 450 drones and missiles once again targeting civilian cities. Here's the flight path. This is now happening almost every single night. And this is what the civilians of Ukraine's cities have to do almost every single night. For the capital city of Kyiv, most people go down to the metro stations and they have to sleep on the ground until the air raid sirens stop. We have dogs and babies, women and children, and Russia has started striking the metro stations, just the entrances. This happened 2 nights ago. Russia bombed one of the metro stations and it filled up with smoke. That was Russia's objective. And I can link these videos down below. These are every night on Telegram and Twitter. If you want to see the terrorism and the destruction, the horror, it's on the internet. This is a woman walking out of her home, walking out of her apartment building that was just struck with a Shahed drone. It's currently on fire. This woman right here, her name is Bodana, and the Russians killed her father in 2022, and 2 nights ago, they bombed her apartment. She lost everything, and she's 9 months pregnant. This is Russia's objective. Here are thoughts from Yulia Sviridenko. She's the new Prime Minister of Ukraine. Another night of brutal Russian attacks on Ukraine's cities. As rescue efforts continue, we are receiving reports of casualties and injuries. Our defenders and rescuers are true heroes. Once again, for Kyiv and Kharkiv, among others, we feel what Russia's so-called desire for peace really means. Russia continues only because it still hasn't faced real consequences. Every delay comes at a cost, and only a bold response can stop the next attack. So what are we doing? Berlin to send 5 Patriots to Ukraine soon with US assistance. Germany's defense minister said the systems would be delivered as soon as possible, although he did not specify the exact time frame or how many missiles. This is going to take years for 5 Patriots to show up, but for 1 or 2, that potentially could happen this year. The Netherlands will substantially contribute to delivering Patriot systems to Ukraine. Norway is another country who said they're going to chip in and help cover the costs or whatever it takes to send these Patriots to Ukraine as soon as possible. Here's the German Defense Minister Pistorius. This was the latest Ramstein meeting, and this is what he said.
Last week that Germany will contribute to providing the 5 urgently needed Patriot systems as quickly as possible. How we can achieve that is something we will coordinate closely and in a spirit of mutual trust among partners within the next few days. Germany and its partners will also contribute to this effort with the resources that we are currently mobilizing as part of our enduring action on air defense.
Sounds good. And I notice right here, this is Matt Whitaker. This is Trump's ambassador to NATO. The United States no longer leads the Ramstein meetings. This was the 29th meeting, but they're still participating. And the United States announced their initiative to allow NATO countries to buy weapons from America's stockpiles, and then if they want to give them to Ukraine, they can do that. Germany is also going to send 200,000 rounds of ammunition for the Gepard anti-aircraft guns. Those things are very effective against Shaheeds. Thank you, Germany. Canada is also going to send $20 million for maintenance of Ukrainian tanks. Thank you so much, Canada. The Netherlands will provide 200 million euros for interceptor drones and 125 million for the maintenance of F-16s. Thank you so much to the Dutch. Norway has allocated 1 billion euros for the purchase of drones and 400 million to help Ukraine's military-industrial base. Sweden is also preparing a new package, but for a lot of NATO countries, they're no longer announcing what they're sending to Ukraine. They're choosing to keep it classified so as not to tell the Russians, but I also think so as not to tell the Americans. It's just how it is, guys. Ukraine seeks $6 billion to close weapons production gap, prioritizing drone interceptors. There's never enough money. There's never enough weapons. There's never enough drones. The Russians just keep coming. And this is the priority. We have to change the dynamic, and I'm hoping in the next 2 months the solution can be found to these Shaheeds, so these nightly attacks are no longer effective. If the cost of the interceptor drones are cheaper than the Shaheeds, Russia just has to stop, because they'll just be burning money at that point. Third round of Ukraine-Russia peace talks is set for July 23rd. This is happening in Istanbul tomorrow, and peace talks, guys. But nobody cares. Nobody is expecting anything because the Russians refuse to change their outrageous demands. Zelensky sets goals for the Istanbul talks, more prisoner of war exchanges, the return of Ukrainian children, and then a direct meeting between Zelensky and Putin. Zelensky is going to keep pushing for this, but Putin's never going to agree to it. Ukraine appears to have given up on its initial push for a ceasefire with Moscow. This was the entire purpose of having direct talks again, to get a ceasefire. And the Russians are never going to agree to one. So Ukraine has already pivoted. Donald Trump has stopped talking about it. And maybe, yeah, progress can be made on these two things, and for that reason alone, the talks are worth having. But to put this war in perspective, here's the map. And this map shows two lines. There is the dark red line and then the light red line. The dark red line is the borders today, the front line today. And the light red line is the borders going back to the end of 2022. So this is after the Kyiv counteroffensive in September of 2022, where Ukraine liberated a lot of land. This is after the Kherson counteroffensive, which they liberated the city of Kherson. This was November of 2022. I cannot emphasize this enough. Russia today controls less of Ukraine than they did 3 years ago. But let's ignore all of Ukraine's gains. Let's only look at Russia's gains. And going back to January or December of 2022, the end of the year, this is how far Russia has gone in 2.5 years. More than 500,000 casualties, I'm sure, in those 2.5 years. Hundreds of billions of dollars wasted. And that's how much they've taken in Donetsk. Every time you zoom in and say Russia took another village, Russia took another village, it's like 8 houses for farmers. This is all that the Russian military has taken in 2.5 years of continuous assaults and horrendous casualties. And for people who support Russia, they say they're winning. Let's get to the bad news for Russia. Ukrainian drones reportedly attack Samara plants, making raw materials for Russian artillery and bombs. Ukraine does do their own nightly drone attacks, but we're just not getting any good pictures or videos, because if you're a Russian citizen and you post pictures or videos, the FSB is going to kick down your door. Here's a report that a major general, this is Alexander Kornev, commander of the 7th Airborne Division, died of a heart attack. I don't really believe that I'm guessing this is a man in his 50s, died of a heart attack, but they're not counting it as a general killed by Ukraine. So we didn't update my favorite Wikipedia page. We still have the 3 generals that were confirmed killed on July 2nd, but this guy wasn't added to the list. Bummer. Weekend drone attacks disrupt over 1,000 flights at Moscow airports. Fun fact, Ukraine closed their skies to all civilian aircrafts, but the Russians continue to fly. So anytime Ukraine launches their own drones into Russia, you have to ground civilian aircraft because Russian air defense is now active. So every time Ukraine launches drones into Russia, there's chaos at the airports. This gives some comfort to Ukrainians, knowing that Russian citizens are being inconvenienced by this war. And I can share a little bit of these videos of just chaos and confusion at the airports. It's being reported that for delayed and canceled flights, passengers are not being compensated by the airlines. The airlines can't afford it. It's also not their fault. It's the fault of the war, like the government is closing the skies. So this is upsetting a lot of Russian vacationers. people who booked a holiday retreat to Turkey and they can't get to their resorts because their flight was delayed or canceled. I really appreciated this clip, the look on this woman's face, who she's a flight attendant for Aeroflot, and there's nothing she can do, and there's people just screaming at her all day, every day.
Никакой информации, мы не можем обменять билеты. У меня пропали билеты, Стамбул, Венеция, 3 билета. Сейчас каждый билет мне просит доплату $980. В конце концов, какое-то уважение должно быть. У меня золотая карта Аэрофлота 23 года.
Oh, boo-hoo. Rest of the clip just shows Russians, sleeping in the terminals, waiting for information on their flights. Russian construction leader warns of industry bankruptcies amid steep interest rates. This is Russia's construction industry, and they're claiming because central bank rates are over 20%, they can no longer operate at a profit or, raise capital to create new construction funds, and it's bad. Every industry in Russia is bad. They're all going bankrupt. None of them are profitable. They're all collapsing at the same time. And we get to watch this, guys, over the next 6 months. By New Year's, things are going to be bad. The banking sector, the coal industry, the construction industry, the railroads, the airlines, the shipping companies. It's everything. In the occupied territories, this is officially a crisis. There's been a water shortage, especially for the last 4 months. In Donetsk and Luhansk regions, this is a deepening humanitarian catastrophe. Some towns have not received any water for 4 months, and the reason why: endemic corruption and systemic mismanagement by the Russian-installed authorities are more than likely the cause. Yes, there's a war going on, but how difficult is it to load up trucks from Russia and then deliver them to the occupied territories? And Russia can't even manage to do this as well. So this is causing serious distress for the residents, and if you don't have clean drinking water to drink and cook with, disease, cholera, all the bad stuff that comes from drinking contaminated water. This was a clip that went viral. This is Mariupol, and the city of Mariupol only has water for about 4 hours every 2 days. Yet this Russian mortgage company, this is, I'm assuming, a Russian company trying to get Russians to settle in Mariupol, they still have fresh water to water their lawns. This is what a local resident observed.
Это в городе дом с часами. Там в городе у нас нет воды. Давайте посмотрим, что поливают. Воды в городе нет. Люди будут раз в 2 дня воду получать. Вот, пожалуйста, камушки поливают. Камушки поливают, нормально, речка, все хорошо. А нам воды нет.
Okay, well, the Pebbles have water, at least in Mariupol. Here's an update on the anti-woke American. This is Derek Huffman. He is the 3rd person from Texas to move to Russia and end up joining the Russian military. This guy and his family are insane, and they're so scared about LGBT people here in America, they decided to move their entire family to Russia for a more traditional lifestyle. He then was basically tricked into joining the military. He was promised a behind-the-lines welding job. They then gave him less than a week of combat training and sent him to the front lines. His wife hasn't heard from him since he was put on the contact line. The assumptions are he's now dead. We haven't gotten confirmation. I don't know if they'll ever find his body. But this is weird that he is the 3rd man from Texas to join the Russian military. The previous 2 were also killed. This guy, his name is Russell Bentley, dubbed the Donbass Cowboy. He went to Donetsk in April of 2024 and joined a local militia. As soon as a group of Russians figured out he was an American, they tortured him to death and they stole all of his stuff. Hard to feel sorry for him. The other American is Michael Gloss. He died in April of 2024, and he's actually the son of a senior CIA official. He dropped out of university and went backpacking, ended up in Russia, and then this guy identifies as a communist, decided to join the Russian military to defeat the evil American industrial complex, and now he's dead. Yep. Never accept occupation, Azerbaijan's president's message to Ukraine. With tensions between Azerbaijan and Russia heightened and the South Caucasus looking more like a powder keg, Azerbaijan's president encouraged Kyiv at a media forum. This was some kind of event in Azerbaijan in which a Ukrainian journalist presented him with shoulder patches from Ukrainian military units. He then told her, "Continue to resist. Never tolerate occupation." Azerbaijan, their dispute with Armenia, the Russians were backing Armenia for the longest time. I'm not going to get into that history, but Azerbaijan's on our side, guys. Russia shot down one of their civilian airliners last December, and relations between the two countries have not been good since then. Czech Civilians fully fund 2.4 million howitzer push, as well as 6 D-30s. Thank you so much to these awesome Czech civilians who fundraised a lot of money. Good job. UK sanctions over 135 oil tankers in Russia's shadow fleet. This is in coordination with the EU, but all helps. Thank you so much to the Brits. The United Kingdom has also allocated £700 million for the purchase of artillery shells, anti-aircraft, and long-range missiles. Once again, thanks to the Brits. Okay guys, if you haven't seen my last 2 videos, we launched our latest channel fundraiser with the guys at NAFO, the 69th Sniffing Brigade. This is the launch video, and the theme is Save the Donkeys. Russia uses donkeys on the front lines, and we want to save these creatures by ending the war. The fastest way to end the war is to support Ukraine as much as possible. And in 3 days, guys, 3 days, this YouTube community has fundraised $543,000. I can probably hit refresh, and we're now at 551. So these are the units getting trucks, and let me share with you another video. This is the 14th Regiment requesting our help.
Hello, we are the group of 14th Regiment of Unmanned Systems that works with deep strike drones. We would like to address Jake Bro and his amazing community, as well as Help 99 Charity Foundation, and request your support as part of a new Jake Bro Save the Donkeys campaign. We would like to have 4x4 buses. This vehicle will be used for making quick logistics for mission and will help us with performance of our tasks. Glory to heroes, glory to Ukraine.
Let's get these heroes some vehicles. And if you've never donated before, consider chipping in $5. If you financially can't, don't worry. You're still part of this YouTube community. Every time you like, comment, share, subscribe, you do make a difference. More people see the video, more people then donate. Final video I want to share with you is friend of the channel, Johnny FD. And this last weekend was the final delivery of trucks from our last campaign fundraiser. This was the Invictus fundraiser 3 months ago. And in total, 141 trucks have been purchased by this YouTube community and then delivered to Ukraine. So here's a little bit of footage from on the ground from Johnny FD from the last handoff.
All right, here we are. Perfect timing. This is one of Jake's trucks being given away. Number 136. Hey, this is Chris Huffman. He's actually the driver of this truck.
Yeah, I drove this car down here from Tallinn. We started yesterday morning like 6 o'clock and then had a 32-hour straight drive together with my amazing co-driver. So we swapped over every couple of hours, but now the car is here.
Very nice.
And I have some extra goodies here in my bag, some candy for the soldiers that I'll put into the car.
That's nice. So Jake, we have one of your trucks that's been handed off to one of the units with the Black Forest.
Yeah.
And do you want to say something to Jake and the audience that donated the car?
Yeah, hello everyone. My call sign is Sarmat. I'm representative of 15th Separate Artillery Reconnaissance Brigade, Black Forest. We are focusing for high value targets of enemies. Our unit destroyed a lot of targets like S-400 and other important things. Thank you for your help, for your support. This car will help us to do more to take our victory.
And thank you for everyone who's donated to the campaign. Please keep it coming. Jake just launched another campaign which will bring more trucks to guys like this. So Diaku, thank you so much for your help. Thank you.
Thank you everyone who continues to support Ukraine. Thank you guys. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.